Moby's house is the guest house, and it was built by John Lautner. It's beautiful. Let's go and meet Moby.
Oh, how are you today? Are you
Oh, I'm great.
Are you great?
Yeah.
How should I call you? Richard? Moby?
Well, I've been called Moby since I was born. My legal name is Richard Melville Hall. But when I was born, my parents thought that Richard Melville Hall was too big of a name for a tiny little baby. So as a joke, when I was 10 minutes old, they named me Moby, because I'm related to Herman Melville.
Yes.
And my parents thought that Moby would be my infant joke nickname. And now I'm 46 years old, and I still have my infant joke nickname.
Which is great, I think. It's a great thing to have that.
Yeah.
So you keep your infant in you all the time, yeah?
Probably. Yeah, and most of my friends who are 46 have much more adult lives than I do. You know, they have wives, they have children, they have families, they go on like family vacations together, and I'm still sort of an adolescent.
Yeah, do you like that?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. So, Moby, you moved to LA. We're here in your house in LA 1 year ago. Yeah, you mentioned. So, what made you gravitate towards LA? And you are a New Yorker, and I know New Yorkers have a stigma on LA. That is this the town of the land of the fakes.
Well, it's funny because when I was growing up, I was born in New York on 148th Street, and growing up in New York, there was always this reputation that LA was plastic surgery and sleazy Hollywood people. And when I first came here 20 years ago, I expected to hate it. And I loved it. You know, the architecture's interesting. It's the only city in the world where almost everyone is involved in something creative. You know, and so I kept coming back here for work. And the more time I spent here, the more I really liked it. And at the same time, like New York in the 60s, 70s, and 80s was really run down, and any artist, any musician, any writer could afford a loft or an apartment or a studio. But then New York became so wealthy that the artists kept getting pushed out. You know, like my neighborhood, the Lower East Side, it used to be like Tribeca, Soho, Lower East Side, were really cheap places where anyone could live. But because of Wall Street, because of the hedge fund managers, because of the cheap dollar, Manhattan has become so expensive, artists can't live there anymore. And so I noticed about 10 years ago, a lot of my friends who are photographers, who are visual artists, started moving to LA, A, because they liked it, but B, because it's cheap. And so they could actually have bigger spaces and bigger studios. And so I think it was like 3 years ago, I was out here in January, and it was a beautiful day. I was having lunch outside in the sun, and then I got on a plane and flew back to New York. And when I got off the plane, it was cold and gray and miserable, and I simply thought, like, maybe it's time to leave the land of hedge fund managers and the cold and the rain and the snow and see what it's like to live out here.
It resonates, even for me, because it's the same. Whenever I go to New York, it's so cold and I want to come back.
And it's the same thing, like, a lot of my friends in New York, when you say that you're moving to LA, they're like, oh, why would you want to move to LA? And so I say to them, well, LA has more museums per capita than any other city on the planet. New York has 20,000 acres of state park. LA has 2.5 million acres of state park.
By the way.
And it's like, New York is a wonderful place. London's a wonderful place. You know, Paris, Berlin, San Francisco, these are all great places, but they're so crowded and so expensive, the artists can't afford to live there. And so every day in Los Angeles, I meet someone new who's just moved here simply because they can afford to live here and do their art here.
Yes, and then the nature is gorgeous. The nature is like, it's really a great presence in this town, and you live surrounded by nature in this new house you have,
And I think what happens is a lot of people come to Los Angeles, they stay at a sleazy hotel in West Hollywood, they never really leave their neighborhood, or they sit in traffic, and that's what they think LA is. But in a weird way, LA is like the anti-city. You know, because if you're in Florence or Bologna or Milan or Rome, or London, or Paris, or Zurich, or even New York, like, these cities all have a center,
Yes.
and the center is easy to find and beautiful. You know,
Yeah.
like, I mean, the center of Bologna, the center of Milan, the center of almost any older city, it's this, you know, really beautiful with great architecture, and then the outskirts of most cities are ugly. You know, like the center of Manhattan is gorgeous. Central Park, you know, is
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Then you go up to Queens and the Bronx, and it's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yes.
LA is exactly the opposite. The center is disgusting, and the outskirts are beautiful.
Very beautiful. Yes.
But most people, when they come here, only see the center, and so that's what they think LA is. Like, I had a friend come visit, and he was staying at some terrible hotel, and he'd never been here before, and he emailed me and said that he hated Los Angeles. So I picked him up at his hotel, and I took him on a 15-minute drive, and all of a sudden he loved Los Angeles.
Of course.
You know,
Yes.
like I took him up to Laurel Canyon,
Yeah.
we went up to Griffith Park Observatory, and suddenly he saw that's how people in LA live. You know,
Yes.
we live outdoors, and we live in weird, interesting houses, and
Yeah, and it takes a while to discover
Oh,
the
yeah.
city. It's not like you get it straight
Well,
away.
I
Yeah.
think that's another really important point, is that most cities are easy to discover. You know, like, you don't have to be a genius to find the beautiful things in Rome. You know?
I agree. Yes.
Like, you don't have to be the best explorer to find the beautiful things in Manhattan.
No.
LA, you kind of have to really work to find the beautiful stuff, but once you do, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yes.
You know, and sometimes it's even
Absolutely.
hidden. Like, for example, even in Hollywood, if you drive down a street like Gower, you know, it's ugly. You know, there's just a lot of ugliness. But then behind the ugliness are recording studios, artist studios, TV production, film production, theater production. You know, there's all this stuff going on that's hidden behind the
Yeah,
ugliness.
you just have to go beyond the surface. Yeah, which is it requires some more of an intelligence and participation. So, what are your favorite spots in town? What do you like doing when you? Of course, now you live here. So, what do you like doing, engaging with?
Well, for me, the other thing that is strange and challenging about LA is how big it is.
Yes.
You know, it's as big as the states of Delaware and Rhode Island combined. You know, LA, I believe, is roughly the size of Belgium. So,
didn't know that.
so some people come here and they're used to, like, there's like small cities, and LA is so big.
It is.
And so my favorite things here, it's a really good question. For me, the heart of Los Angeles is Griffith Park. Granted, I'm biased because I live right by it, but you know, when people talk about New York, they say the heart of New York is Central Park, and it's true. Central Park is beautiful, it's free, it's open to the public, and it's great, but it's kind of small. Whereas Griffith Park, it's open to the public, it's free, it's big, it's filled with wildlife. I mean, there's coyotes and deer and mountain lions and rattlesnakes right in the middle of the city.
Yes.
And everyone I know, if they have time off or it's a nice day, they go hiking.
Yes.
You know, so Griffith Park and the Griffith Park Observatory are probably some of my favorite things here. What else? It's also another strange thing about LA. It doesn't have too many landmarks. You know, like Rome has a lot of landmarks. You know, you go to Rome, there's the Spanish Steps, there's the Colosseum, there's the Vatican. There, you know, a lot of beautiful things to take pictures of. LA is more experience.
Yes.
You know, it's like going up to Malibu, going to Venice, going hiking, going into Silver Lake, and going to, you know, record stores and bookstores. It's a less dramatic city in that way.
Yeah, and then you make your own landmarks in a way or another through your
Yep.
experience. Do you ever encounter paparazzi? This is the land of paparazzis. Did you ever?
Sometimes, but they don't really care about me too much because there's so many, like, there's so many real stars here. You know, I mean, like, the paparazzi are much more concerned with, like, Kim Kardashian and whatever teen stars there are,
Yeah.
or the, like, Brad Pitts and Angelina Jolie. You know, they, Brad and Angelina lived pretty close to here.
Oh.
And
Sorry.
strangely enough, the paparazzi left them alone. You know, they lived just over in Bronson Canyon where
Yes.
they found the head yesterday.
Yes. I heard it.
And so they would come down, like, it's odd that there's so many movie stars in LA and so many big celebrities that most of them have pretty normal lives.
Yes. Going back to your favorite activities in town. I've read on your blog that you like water skiing with pugs. I read that you were going water skiing with pugs one day. I don't know.
It didn't work out, unfortunately. I was in Florida, and my friend Michael had just bought a boat, and he also has pugs. So theoretically, we were going to go water skiing, and he was going to bring the pugs along, but we ended up not having enough time. So no water skiing and no pugs, unfortunately.
So, do you, of course, New York? Do you still have a place in New York?
Well, I've had my apartment in New York. I've basically been there for about 20 years.
Yes.
And I have my studio there, and I love it. It's not very big, but it's right in the heart of what used to be Little Italy.
Yeah.
You know, which is where a lot of the Italian immigrants settled in the 19th century. Now, Little Italy is like 10 Italian restaurants and a whole lot of Chinese people, which is great. And but then also a lot of finance people, because it's close to Wall Street. So, you know, my neighbors 20 years ago were very old Italian American women and weird, crazy punk rock artists. And now it tends to be corporate attorneys, and which is okay. I mean, New York is a victim of its own success. Like everyone wants to live there, so as a result, only the really, really rich people can live there.
Yeah, it's a bit saturated. So, do you still have the Teeny Cafe?
Teeny still exists.
Yes.
I haven't been involved with it for about 6 years because I opened it with an ex-girlfriend, and I learned a few good lessons. 1, never open a restaurant. 2, never open a restaurant when you have no restaurant experience. 3, never open a restaurant when you have no restaurant experience and you're opening it with your ex-girlfriend who hates you.
You learned 3 big lessons.
I learned 3 things, yeah. So she and I are really good friends. She's married, she has a baby, and Teeny's still there, but neither one of us are involved.
Okay.
So I hope it's doing well. I haven't been there in a long time.
All right. So going back to this, your relationships, let's say, you keep a very private life. I mean, we never know about, you know, who you date, who you go out with, probably because you're a Virgo in a sign, zodiacally. They keep kind of reserved, or because we never know about that, which is good in a way.
There's also one possibility, is I don't have a very exciting dating life. So it's not like I'm hiding anything, I just don't have anything to hide.
Oh, really? Yeah. I will go for a lunch or dinner if you want.
Yeah, I mean, well, recently, I mean, the closest thing I have to a dating life is one of my neighbors and I have been dating for a while.
Oh.
But that's, because also I've been on tour for the last year, and most musicians, when they go on tour, it's just a non-stop party for them. You know, it's like the drinking and the drugs and the sex and I've done that in the past. But it's really unhealthy. You know, when you're in airports every day and you're always hungover and you're always tired, like you start getting ill, and it's not good.
It doesn't.
So the most recent tour I did, I was basically like a monk. You know, like most musicians will be on stage in front of 50,000 people and then go to some crazy after show party.
Yes.
I would be on stage in front of 50,000 people, then go back to my room and read a book and do yoga.
Oh, fantastic. So you practice yoga too?
I do, yeah.
Yeah? What kind of yoga do you practice?
Well, my oldest friend is an Ashtanga yoga teacher.
Oh.
And I did Ashtanga with him, but I got kind of bored with it.
Yeah.
So then I started doing kickboxing, but I hurt myself doing kickboxing, and I was reading Yoga Journal.
Yeah.
And so I basically put together my own practice from things that I read about in Yoga Journal.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's called.
Okay, it's your own practice,
My
which
own-
is the best practice.
My own weird practice, and I do it 6 days a week.
Oh.
And every now and then I bring in a yoga teacher to sort of like look at my practice and give me suggestions.
Yeah.
Because the one problem I have with my practice is I tend to do it a little too hard.
On you?
You know, because I'm a type A Virgo, as you said. So
Yes.
like the most recent teacher I worked with, she's trying to get me to sort of like do yoga and slow down a little bit.
So, and surrender a little bit.
Yeah, and not do aggressive yoga.
Yes.
Which aggressive yoga seems like a contradiction in terms, but somehow a lot of people have figured out how to, you know, like to be like a type A aggressive person and apply that to yoga seems really weird, but
Yes, because we don't have a lot of time.
Oh.
So, yes, just wanted to ask you about, well, your music. I saw your performance at Bordeaux, the acoustic section, which was amazing. I enjoyed it so much. With actually Inyan Bassi, which she was on your records, and I've never had a chance to see her live performing. I was like, wow, this girl has a voice, right? She's amazing. And I love these acoustic sections. Are you going to do more? Because it would be nice to see more of
I
this.
hope so. I mean, I grew up playing classical music, so I've been playing acoustic guitar since I was 10 years old, and I love doing it. So, and the fact that when we do it, people respond well, makes me want to do more of it. Although the record I'm working on now is much more of a sort of like, almost like Grace Jones inspired dance music. So it's not like a club music, it's more sort of like Sly and Robbie, Massive Attack, Grace Jones. So it's not very acoustic.
When is that going to come out?
I have no idea.
Well, you're working on it right now?
Yeah.
Oh, from here, from LA?
Yeah, actually back there, I don't have the key for it, but on the other side of this wall is my studio. It's not a big, grand, huge studio, it's just a bedroom with equipment in it. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on now.
Oh, beautiful.
But the acoustic thing, I also feel like, because I love doing the acoustic music so much, I feel like it would be a good thing to do when I get really old.
Just play your guitar.
Yep, so like when I'm in my 70s, show up with a long gray beard, play acoustic songs, do Leonard Cohen covers.
So future projects apart from that, from this new record?
Well, right now it's just I feel like such a cliche because I have some pending film projects, like film music projects. But that's like the most annoying cliched answer when someone says that they have some upcoming film projects that aren't confirmed yet. So that's my cliched answer.
A cliched answer.
And then just working on my own music, and I've been a photographer since I was 10.
Yes.
So I had like this summer we actually had a photo show in Milan, Bologna, and Rome, and Paris, London, Brussels, Denmark, Amsterdam, Berlin, and New York, and LA. So I keep working on photography as well. And
I would love to see your photography.
Oh, we put out a book.
I read that.
Yeah, of it. So, and it's all on the website.
It's all. Can I see those images on the website in the Oh, I saw you post on your blog.
I put up
pictures.
silly pictures.
Yeah.
But the more fine art photography is up there as well. I'm sure Shannon can give you.
Give me some reference to that, and then you can find your music for free too. Yeah.
There's Moby Gratis.
Moby Gratis. That's how did you come up with that?
Well, I went to a school called State University of New York at Purchase, SUNY Purchase, and it's a performing arts college, and I was a philosophy major there, which was foolish. And I had a lot of friends in the world of independent film as a result of going to SUNY Purchase and then living in New York and then moving out here, and they all complain about how hard it is to license music for independent films and for nonprofit films. Because there's no money in it, so no record company, no publisher, no one wants to return their calls. So I started MobyGratis.com as a way of giving free music to small independent filmmakers and nonprofit filmmakers.
Amazing. That's a great tool because many students or many starters wanna use some music and they cannot do it because of that.
It's funny. So we started it and we didn't really publicize it, but I've had now 45,000 licenses from it, and they're all free. And the irony is, every time someone licenses something, it probably costs me a little bit of money. So it's one of the only internet ventures that's designed to lose money.
To lose money and give back in a way.
There's absolutely no way I can ever make money from it. Which is great.
Yeah. Okay, we're done. Thank you so much, Moby. It was a pleasure.